Okay, it's the Austrian Grand Prix weekend 2026. I'm going to take you through some of the footage from historic Austrian Grand Prix, show you what the sport of Formula One actually knew. Now, if we go back to 2021, there were multiple offences that were dealt with by the stewards, and penalties were handed out. I've been through offence car 99 overtaking during a safety car period. So that's the video that I did last, where it's Warwick penalty as the thumbnail. Derek Warwick is a steward at that event, was also a steward at Abu Dhabi 2021, and he handed out a penalty of here we go, we'll get it here, to Antonio Giovinazzi, a 5-second time penalty and 2 penalty points for Giovinazzi's infringement at Abu Dhabi 2021. He didn't. Now, if you also remember in that video, some of you may not have seen it, I noted that in that 2021 season, essentially Max Verstappen had 4 home races. 2 of those races were held at the circuit in Austria, the Red Bull Ring. All right, Red Bull's home circuit, where they will have done the majority of their testing, you would have thought. So you've got the Styrian Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix, essentially the home of Red Bull. It's called the Red Bull Ring. All right, that's where they've got a huge following over there. So there's 2 Grand Prix there. Max set pole positions, won them both. Max is part Belgian, part Dutch. So we've got the Belgian parade, which Max set pole position for. It's not recognised as a fastest lap because there wasn't ever a racing lap. Simple as that. Now, ultimately, they might give the excuse that whoever set that fastest lap didn't finish in the top 10. No, there was no race. The race never began, even according to the own FIA regulation. But they lied to the world, so they didn't have to refund anybody. Max Verstappen was awarded the victory of the Belgian parade. Max Verstappen qualified on pole for the Dutch Grand Prix and won that one. So you get 4 home races if they want to, if obviously they want to manufacture the championship for the Great White Hope. Let's go back to what constitutes an offence and how it is dealt with by the FIA. So let's have a look here. Now, lap 4 of 71. The race has only just resumed at the beginning of this race. On lap 1, there was a coming together. Ocon was the meat within the sandwich. It retired his car. They put out the safety car. That safety car remained on track until the end of lap 3. We're now on lap 4. Racing has just begun.
Bottas got himself into a bit of a pit.
And Sergio Perez is now challenging Lando Norris. So Perez in third here. This is Max out in the front. This is Perez back here trying to overtake Lando Norris. Now we're coming up to a turn. I believe it's turn 4 that we're coming up to. Might be wrong. And it will be, from Lando Norris's perspective, a right-hander, meaning that Perez will be the car on the outside. And let's go through the rules of engagement and let's have a look at whether they talk about the race to the apex.
But he has come out on top.
So, knowing that it's going to be a right-hander, Perez is the car on the outside. Perez has actually edged himself slightly ahead. You can see from that view there, Perez now is slightly ahead. We've got this curbing beginning on the outside there, indicating we've got the braking zone here. Look at these Rolex boards there. That's going to be the 150, the 100, the 50-meter boards. All right. So
Ahead of his teammate.
And you can see now, Perez is ahead. Car on the outside, looking to make the overtaking manoeuvre around the outside. At the braking zone, he needs to be in a position at least alongside in order to be allowed track room. Now, because he is there, because he's achieved that condition, this car on the inside, the car that was in front, that has just been challenged, just being overtaken in the process of that by Perez, he's still allowed to stay in there, trying to maintain his position, still try and fight for that position. However, the rules of engagement are now This guy's got himself into the appropriate position to be afforded track room, meaning going around this corner, the car on the inside now, Norris, has to afford track room to this car on exit of the corner. They are the rules of engagement. That's the way they are. They've been developed like that. They were like that for years. Let's see if they talk about who wins the race to the apex.
Sergio Perez now.
So up until this point, even Perez is still ahead.
Turn 4, trying to go.
Okay, because it's a shorter route round the corner, Lando has now dipped in, and Lando's like slightly ahead now, you'd say at this point, an inch or two.
The long way round the outside.
And look at what's happening now. We're seeing the dust being kicked up.
His jaw.
And Perez ends up on the gravel, off the track. Now, because of we're getting the action going from one camera cut to the next. This is what F1 TV does.
Bottas got himself into a bit of a pickle, but he has come out on top and ahead of his teammate.
Like I say, you can see Perez is ahead.
Sergio Perez now, turn 4, trying to go the...
Entitled to track room. We saw this, Lewis Hamilton do similar to this at Imola 2021 at the chicane, where Max forced him off the track. No penalty for Max. We saw it at Monza, not the chicane, which is essentially turn 1, turn 2, but the chicane later on in the lap, where again Lewis Hamilton, making an overtaking attempt on the outside, had got his car at least halfway alongside with Max's, and Max doesn't leave him track room. Max just forces him off the track. No penalty for Max.
Long way round the outside.
Okay, and it cuts to there. And what we'll see is that there is no room on the outside. There has to be a car's width left for Perez, and it's not given. He just has not given him a car's width.
Joel continues with Lando Norris as he now goes on to the gravel.
So there's Perez been forced off the track. Had he have attempted to remain on the track, then Norris would have hit him. So he had to take evasive action. Now, think of Abu Dhabi 2021, lap 1, turn 6. He's got to give that place back. He's got to give that place back. Say the strap-on fanboy. Say the commentators for the next 8 laps. Oh, did Max Verstappen leave Lewis Hamilton track room, or did Max Verstappen crowd Lewis Hamilton off the track? If Lewis Hamilton had have attempted to remain on track, carrying that speed that he was entitled to carry into that corner, would there have been a collision based on the trajectory, the line, and where Max Verstappen ended up? Yes, there would. Could that have ended Lewis Hamilton's race and championship's hopes? Yes, it could. Therefore, did Lewis Hamilton have to take evasive action? Yes, he did. But, oh, he's got to give that place back. Say the strap-on fanboy. Because you've not been educated, you see. What you've been radicalised. Radicalised by those with an agenda who like to mind condition people because they want to exploit and extract. And they divide people to do so by radicalising them using their mind conditioning machine, using these servants who lie to you to condition you with their narrative. And that applies to life in general, with everything, to enable the billionaire class to exploit each and every one of us. But don't go hating the messenger. Anyway, that's what happened there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to find the part of the recording where we'll get hopefully an overhead view of this, and then we'll talk through what is actually going on. In fact, let's just look at the implications of what took place here on Perez's race. Because, again, this is the implication that it could have had on Lewis Hamilton's race in that championship deciding race in Abu Dhabi 2021. Once you get forced off the track, it can impact your race because you might lose ground to everybody else. Somebody has committed a foul against you. Okay, so in this instance, and let's just go through the actual, this is the offence. Offence, car number 4, forcing a driver off the track. So we'll open that one, and this is what it is. Lando Norris, McLaren F1 team at 15:08 in the race, forcing another driver off the track. breach of Appendix L, Chapter 4, Article 2 of the FIA International Sporting Code. So they are the Code of Driving Conduct. Nothing to do with the guidelines. Okay, Karen? No, Karen, nothing to do with the guidelines that Max is the expert of. This is what they've always done. The breach of Appendix L, Chapter 4, Article 2 of the FIA International Sporting Code. Yeah, you've breached the driving standards. You've crowded another car off the track. You get a 5-second penalty and 2 penalty points on your super license for that. So during that 2021 season, we know that at Imola, 2 points for Max for crowding Lewis off the track. We know that France, Max didn't rejoin the track in an appropriate manner through the array of cones. Didn't get penalised, no penalty points. Should have been 2 penalty points for that. That's 4 penalty points. We've got Monza, where Max firstly forces Lewis Hamilton off the track at the chicane. That's 2 penalty points. Secondly, ends up on Lewis Hamilton's head. That's another 2 penalty points. That's 8 penalty points. Silverstone drove into Lewis Hamilton, causing that crash. 10 penalty points. I don't know how many he carried into that season. I don't know how many penalty points Max Verstappen carried into the 2021 season. Perhaps that's something we should have a look at. There's 10 he's on already. That's 10 that he is on already. Then we've got, what? Brazil. Did Max run Lewis Hamilton off the track? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's 12. That's a race ban. Okay, that's a race ban in 2021. So he should have been banned for Saudi. At Saudi, he ran Lewis Hamilton off the track. That's another 2 penalties at turn 1. He rejoined the track in an unsafe manner, forcing Lewis Hamilton to lose places. He lost a place to Esteban Ocon. That's another 2 penalty points. We're now up to 16 penalty points. He brake-checked Lewis Hamilton. Now, even if we just assign that as being 2 penalty points, in fact, it's a black flag. That's a race ban just for that alone. So he ran Lewis Hamilton. Sorry, he brake tested Lewis Hamilton. That's a black flag offence. That's disgusting. We should be now up to 18 penalty points minimum. Abu Dhabi 2021, lap 1, ran Lewis Hamilton off the track. 20 penalty points in a season. At least. At least. But again, when we want to set it up for Israel Verstappen, we need to establish for a few years whether Israel is doing anything wrong. None of us know. None of us can tell if Israel Verstappen is doing anything wrong. Is that just a bit elbows out, argy-bargy? Is Israel Verstappen got a right to defend himself? But it excites the kiddies, doesn't it? The kiddies like the computer games, and they like that. Yeah, they like the computer games. They like it when you can drive around thinking it's Grand Theft Auto, just smashing the shit out of everything as you go. The kiddies like that. Yeah, they don't realise the real life implications. But anyway, so let's just have a look at the entry of turn 4. Perez and Norris were side by side. See, these stewards, they're not very good at making explanations. They're not qualified, okay? Derek Warwick is a used car salesman, former driver, but just like we see with footballers, you get people that used to play the game of football, and then they get to be pundits of the games of football. Okay, they get to be sat there in the studio telling us what they think in the comments section, and some of them are as retarded as fuck. Okay, thick as fuck. Just because you can play it doesn't necessarily mean you can analyse it and talk about it appropriately. All right? Different skill set. Likewise, you don't necessarily see, in fact, how often do you see this whereby you've got a former professional footballer, a player of the game, that then goes on to be an official of the game, to referee the game? A different skill set altogether. But in Formula One, we get the great white hope, Derek Warwick, former driver, now a steward, okay, owns a car dealership on the island of Jersey, tax haven of Jersey, sells second-hand cars to the people of Jersey, Honda-powered cars, and now he gets to be an official in a sport where Honda are competing. That's a conflict of interest. But don't you worry your little heads about that. And the team where that's got the Honda engine, that Derek makes beneficial decisions to them. Derek is the guy that referred to Max Verstappen as being his great white hope. That would indicate bias. That would indicate that this judge of the situation is not fit for purpose, wouldn't it? He's got no qualifications. He's got a conflict of interest. He's got bias. That's three good reasons why Derek Warwick isn't qualified to be a judge. But don't you worry your little heads about that. This is their structure. This is how they do things. They think they can act with impunity. So, this description is poor. At entry of turn 4, Perez and Norris were side by side. Then, on the exit, Norris was judged not to give Perez enough room, and Perez was forced off the track. And then they've got the right to appeal. So, you've got two lines there. Piss poor. The stewards reviewed video evidence. That's all they needed to do, didn't they? They didn't need to review telemetry, onboard data, all this bullshit. You just let's have a look at the video. You see, this is what they do. There's 4 stewards. They're sat there in an office. They can look at the replays of the TV screens. Video assistance to make refereeing decisions. The future. Who would have thought that was possible in Formula 1? Who would have thought that those stewards making the decisions had the benefit of being able to review TV replays time and time and time again to be able to establish what has gone on here and therefore who is at fault? Oh, but they couldn't do that at Silverstone 2021. They couldn't identify that Max Verstappen drove across the nose of Lewis Hamilton and hit him before the corner. No, we couldn't do that. We had to award Lewis Hamilton a 10-second penalty for that, vilifying the wrong guy, didn't we? Oh, we couldn't do that at Imola, identifying that it was Max Verstappen who didn't afford Lewis Hamilton track room at Imola, at Monza. We couldn't do that. We called it let them race at Brazil, didn't we, Jonathan? Let's call that let them race. Saudi. Brake test. Oh, we don't know. We don't know. At the entry of turn 4, Perez and Norris were side by side. No. Braking zone. Braking zone is where the required braking input is required to be applied to the vehicle so that vehicle decelerates to the appropriate speed for it to be able to maintain the appropriate line around the corner, because if you're carrying so much extra speed, your car is going to understeer, isn't it, Karen? It's going to understeer out to the outside of the track and not leave that car's width. Right? That means you're not driving appropriately. You're driving in an unsafe manner because you're not leaving the required track room for your opponent. You're driving like a C-nut. Okay, that gets you a penalty. That's the way it works. Braking zone. Assessment is made at the braking zone. At the braking zone, Perez had got his car at least alongside, if not ahead. That entitles him to be afforded track room on exit. That dictates that Lando Norris has to slow his car down to an appropriate speed to take that corner, so that on exit of that corner he leaves at least a car's width for Perez's car on exit of that corner. That is the requirement. But Norris didn't do that. Okay, Norris tried to carry so much extra speed in there, and he therefore took a line around that corner because the speed that he took into the corner meant that his exit of that corner drifted his car to the outside of the track. It was because he didn't apply the appropriate braking force to his car on entry of the corner, meaning he carried too much speed through the corner that he couldn't maintain a tight line going through that corner. That is your issue there. Now, again, let's just Let's just prove that.
He has come out on top and ahead of his teammate, Sergio.
So, the car that's on the outside is got the wider sweeping line. You can carry more speed around a wider curve than you can a tight one. But now, we know that Perez is ahead.
Perez now, turn 4.
And Lando's now ahead. Now, we know the distance is slightly shorter, but we also know that in order to make a tighter turn like that, you have to decelerate in order to keep it under control and not come out here.
Trying to go the long way, round the
But it doesn't.
outside, his duel continues.
So this is the impact it had on Perez's race. And let's listen to what actually happens with Perez's race.
Here's Lando Norris as he now goes on to the gravel, and
All them places lost.
he loses 6 or 7 places as a result of that.
So that's the impact on Perez's race. He is the victim of the other driver harming his race chances. That demotes Perez by 6 positions, and Lando only gets a 5-second penalty for that. You see, that doesn't seem proportional to me. If you've caused another driver to lose 6 or 7 places, it should be that you, the infringing driver, have to lose that number of places as well. Well, you've just harmed somebody else's race chances by fouling them, and you should have to have a penalty applied to you that means that at least the same, if not worse, happens to your race chances. Like I say, what I'm going to do is try and find the overhead view of that, and we'll go through it again. Sorry, as I just keep playing this forward, I'm listening to these commentators, and it just makes me annoyed. So we've just heard that Perez has lost 6 or 7 places.
As a result of that, that was not what Perez needed. He's down to 10th.
Down to 10th. So he was challenging for 2nd, and because he was forced off the track where he was entitled to be there, he's now down to 10th. And listen to this one. This one's Paul de Resta, isn't it?
He was never going to give that up, Norris, was he? I was surprised to see Perez try and go the long way.
He was never going to give that up. You have to give it up. They're the rules of engagement. You've breached. Why are you justifying it?
Way round, but you know, at some point you've got to choke for the corner and go. And even at turn 1, you know, when you're battling for 2nd place.
I hate these commentators justifying it, because what they're doing, they are validating things that are wrong. And again, this is what we've had. Piers Morgan being a prime example. Every guest. But does Israel have a right to defend itself? But does Israel have a right to defend itself? But does Israel... Piers, you fucking arsehole. They're perpetrating a genocide. They're just carpet bombing people. They're just wiping everybody out. But does Israel have a right to defend itself? But does Israel... That bastard's got to go. That bastard has got to go. Anyway, let me find the appropriate bit of overhead footage. Here we go.
For 2nd place, you can't think the guy's going to give that.
De Resta, again, validating it. When you're battling for 2nd place, you can't think that guy is going to give it to you. No, but you still got to play by the rules of the sport. Just like in football, you can't expect your opponent to give it to you, but you can't go in 2-footed at the knee, Paul, okay? But you're a real motor racer, aren't you? You know what you're talking about, don't you, cunt boy?
200th Grand Prix start, and Sergio Perez hoping for a podium.
Here we go, replay. So here's Maxwell Verstappen. Under this Rolex banner here, you can see Perez's car is slightly ahead there. That would be the 50-metre board. There's the 100. So we know that this is the braking zone. We know that the location of Perez's car is there.
Is going to have to do
Still ahead. There's the 50. Perez is ahead.
it the hard way. This was his
Lando Norris not yielding, carrying too much speed.
battle with Lando Norris at turn.
And as a result of carrying too much speed, it means he can't keep a tight line around this corner. You see, this car here, that'd be Bottas. Bottas doesn't end up over here. Why is that? He hasn't carried the same amount of speed through there. He's kept a tighter line through the corner.
Norris.
So Norris has drifted to the outside of the track with the car on his outside. Why have these other cars here not done that? Well, they've not done it because they didn't carry that much speed. They carried too much speed.
He's not a man to back out. He'll get his elbows out whenever he can.
Oh, he's not somebody to back out. They'll get their elbows out, say the commentators.
He pushed me off.
Absolutely right, Checo.
Did he push him off? Was
Did he, Crofty?
Perez ever ahead?
Was he? This is the lying commentators. And this is what they're paid to do, right? This is the evil bastards. They take money to get down on their knees and suck it, right? This is the bastards that mind condition the minds of the kids, serving a corrupt agenda.
Norris at turn 4. Norris is not a man to back out.
Norris is not a man to back out, kids. Yeah, elbows out, argy-bargy, aggressive. No, that's not what motor racing is. But that's how you want to sell it to the kids, isn't it, Crofty? That's what you're being paid, right, to then sell it to the kids as being that. But that's dangerous, because then if kids get involved in motorsport and think that this is what motor racing is, we can just fuck it at everybody. It's not rugby, right? It's not a contact sport where you can do that to people. No, this is motor racing. There's rules. It's non-contact. You have to leave each other space.
Get his elbows out whenever he can.
He pushed me off.
So we've established that Perez was ahead at the braking zone.
Did he push him off?
So the commentator has to ask the audience, did he? Clearly, because he's left him no track rooms. Where's he got to go?
Was Perez ever ahead?
Yes. Was Perez ever ahead?
Was it his corner?
Was it Perez's corner? Yes, it was.
There was slight contact. Did he deserve a bit more space?
Did he deserve a bit more space? Did he? Ask the audience. Question. Because we can't answer it. We're the presented experts. We're the motor mouth voice of the sport. We're the former Formula One driver. We're the former professional driver. And all we can do is ask the questions. We can't answer the questions. Why can't we answer the questions, lads? Why can't the experts, those that are presented to us as having expertise of the sport, only ask the audience the questions rather than answer those questions and explain it to us? Why is that, lads?
I haven't seen it from the front, but listen, the most costly
I haven't seen it from the front. Why not? You've seen the same footage that we've just seen.
thing for Red Bull here is they've let the two Mercedes get through.
So that was that one. I mean, you see, we can go to this one here. And I'll probably use this one time and time again. This is Brazil later on in that season.
I want to see this replay from this angle as well, Martin, because did Max Verstappen push?
Did Max Verstappen again? This is the same commentator. Can only ask the questions. He can't answer it. Has to ask the questions. So what we've got again, car on the outside looking to perform an overtaking manoeuvre around the outside.
Hamilton a bit too wide.
The car on the outside has got himself ahead of the car on the inside, as we can clearly see.
And not give him space.
Still ahead. We are turning into the corner. This must be the 50 board. If it's not the 50, it's a 100 board, but it looks like the 50 board. There's a Pirelli board, so you can see there. Hamilton's ahead. It means you have to be left room, track room. Hamilton has to be left a car's width on the track on the exit of this corner. They're the rules of engagement.
Hamilton's ahead there. Verstappen then.
Look at that line taken by Verstappen. Comes across here. He's nowhere near the apex. He's got to hit that apex. He's got to hit that apex. But if Lewis had hit the apex, I'd have called it a racing incident, says Jensen Button. But because Lewis didn't hit the apex, I have to put that one at Lewis's. Whoa, Jensen. Max hit him before the apex. Max hit him before the curbing started at Copse Corner at Silverstone. Shame that none of the experts could identify that. Bizarre that is, isn't it? Let's go back and have a look.
It's moving around a lot.
I want to see the.
Let's have a look at it again, Crofty.
This replay from this angle as well, Martin, because did Max Verstappen push Hamilton a bit too wide and not give him
Hamilton clearly ahead.
space? Hamilton's ahead there.
Yeah, absolutely right, Crofty. Was Hamilton ahead? Well, we have to ask the question.
Verstappen.
Look at that. Verstappen makes no attempt to come around the curve. He comes out here.
Then comes back at him.
And drives off the track himself. That's not driving in a controlled manner, keeping your car on the circuit. Where's Lewis Hamilton going to go? Lewis Hamilton wanted to come around here. He's been forced off because Max took him there. Hamilton's had to take this line.
He opened the steering wheel, didn't he?
So Max opened the steering wheel, yeah. He purposefully opened the steering wheel. That opening the steering wheel...
Max Verstappen push Hamilton a bit too wide and not give him space. Hamilton's ahead.
Now look at this bit here. This is where we're talking about opening the steering wheel. Because Max's car should be coming around here. Look at what happens to it.
There, Verstappen.
There. Rather than follow this line around here, Max steered right, essentially. Well, if it wasn't, if he didn't actually steer it beyond the central point over to the right-hand side, essentially what he's done is he's reduced his steering angle. Where it should be like hard left, he's reduced that steering angle, which is opening it back up, to make sure he cuts across the line that Hamilton wants to be on. At that sort of speed, whilst cornering. That is filthy driving.
And then comes back at him.
Look how far they are off track. How many car widths? 1, 2, 3. This is about 4 car widths off track. There should have been the width of the track left for Hamilton. Look how far he's been forced off track. He's had to be out this far because this is the line that Verstappen's pushed him out onto.
He opened the steering wheel, didn't he?
But the thing is, Martin, most of the fanboys, they don't really understand just how bad that is, using that language.
Did Verstappen drive Hamilton off the track?
Our expert doesn't know. Once again, Crofty has to ask the question. Did Verstappen drive Hamilton off the track?
He didn't run into him. But
That wasn't the question, was it, Martin? So that was that particular incident. We've got an offence of crossing the white line at pit entry. Now, if you remember earlier this season, Miami, Verstappen crossed the white line at pit exit. Did they award him an immediate penalty? No, they didn't. They had to wait till the end of the race, and then they'd invite Max Verstappen in to ask Max what he thought in the comment section, and then they'd decide what level of penalty to apply to Max, depending on where he finished and how any such penalty might impact his race result, and therefore we can manipulate the outcome that way. You see, there are different magnitudes of offence. Crossing the white line at pit entry, there's less danger in that because you're going from the live track into the pit lane, whereby it is single file traffic, which should be, but they let Max overtake down the pit lane. So effectively, you're going from what is the dangerous track, because it's a high-speed live track, into the less dangerous pit area because it's reduced speed and blah, blah, blah. When you're going from the pit lane, which is the limited speed single file traffic, and you are merging onto a track, you are merging onto the more dangerous aspect. So if you're breaching that regulation of crossing the white line as you go on to the live track, that carries with it greater danger. That should be a greater penalty. But no, they don't treat it like that because the stewards don't seem to understand because they're not qualified. We've got car 11. This is Perez forcing another driver off the track. We'll scrutinise that. We've got Perez again forcing another driver off the track at a different corner. We'll have a look at that as well. Oh, we've got a pit lane speeding offence as well. I wonder if they'd set the monitoring system up in the wrong place. Anyway, Funny that in Austria 2021, we got stewards. Derek Warwick, Great White Hope lad. We got stewards that could identify this. They were able to look at the offences and give out appropriate penalties, or give out some sort of penalties. But not when Max Verstappen's guilty of those penalties. They can't. Oh, nothing to see here. We call that let Israel Verstappen, the Great White Hope, race. Because he's got a right to defend himself. So I'll be back with some more analytic videos soon. Thanks for your time. Cheers.